All right, let's talk about Checkpoint Charlie. It's just a single intersection in Berlin, right? But for nearly 30 years, this one spot was, and I'm not exaggerating here, the absolute front line of the Cold War. It was a place that literally held the world's fate in its balance. So you gotta ask yourself, how does a simple checkpoint in a city that's been torn in two become the most dangerous place on the entire planet? I mean, we're talking about a spot that's famous from spy thrillers, a place of real, profound human tragedy. How did it get so iconic that it could push the US and the Soviet Union right to the edge of all-out war? Well, let's dive in and figure that out. Okay, so our story kicks off in August 1961. The East German government was desperate to stop this massive brain drain. All their skilled workers were fleeing to the West. So with the Soviets backing them up, they did something drastic. They built the Berlin Wall. And they did it practically overnight. Boom, a city was literally ripped in half. And to control who came in and out, they set up checkpoints. And out of that sudden, brutal division, Checkpoint Charlie was born.
So, what about that name Charlie? It sounds so, I don't know, casual, like it's named after some guy named Charlie. But no, that's not it at all. It's actually way more bureaucratic. The name just comes from the letter C in the NATO phonetic alphabet. You know, Alpha, Bravo, Charlie. The Allies had three main checkpoints to get into Berlin. Checkpoint Alpha and Checkpoint Bravo were out on the highways, and then you had Checkpoint Charlie smack dab in the middle of the city.
And here's the really crucial thing you need to get about this place. It wasn't for your average Berliner. No way. Think of it like this. Checkpoint Charlie was the exclusive VIP gateway. It was only for Allied military forces, diplomats, and foreign tourists. And because of that special status, it became this intense focal point for everything. Spying, high-stakes observation, you name it. It was basically the West's one tiny, super tense window into the East.
And that role really cemented Checkpoint Charlie as the most visible, in-your-face symbol of the Iron Curtain. You know, that famous phrase for the massive ideological and physical wall that split Europe in two. I mean, the Iron Curtain was thousands of miles long, this invisible but very real line. But right here at Checkpoint Charlie, you could literally walk right up to it and stare it in the face.
Right, so this wasn't just some sleepy, tense border. Oh no. It very quickly escalated into a major geopolitical flashpoint. Checkpoint Charlie wasn't just a symbol anymore. It became a stage. A stage for real, high-stakes conflict where you had the pride of two superpowers clashing head-on with the desperation of ordinary people. And the results? Well, they were often devastating.
And it didn't take long for things to boil over. We're talking just a few months after the wall even went up. And it all started with something that sounds almost small. An American diplomat is trying to go to the opera in East Berlin, and the East German guards demand to see his papers. Well, that was a huge no-no, a total violation of the existing agreements. So how did the US respond? They rolled tanks up to the checkpoint. And you guessed it, the Soviets immediately rolled theirs up to match them, tank for tank.
I mean, just picture this. For 16 absolutely agonizing hours, you had American and Soviet tanks sitting literally nose to nose. Engines were running, they were loaded with live ammunition. The whole world just held its breath. A single wrong move, one soldier getting a little too jumpy, and that could have been it. World War III right there. It was only after some incredibly frantic secret back-channel talks between Kennedy and Khrushchev that both sides finally backed down.
But this conflict, it wasn't just about tanks and politicians. It was about real people and the incredible human cost. And there's no story that shows this more tragically than the story of Peter Fechter. He was just an 18-year-old kid, a bricklayer. He and his friend decided to make a run for it, to climb the wall right near the checkpoint. His friend got over, but Peter wasn't so lucky. He was shot by the East German guards.
And what happened next is just horrific. He fell back onto the eastern side, into what they called the death strip. And for almost an hour, he just lay there, bleeding, crying out for help. And everyone could see him, Western soldiers, the media, everyone. But nobody could do anything. They were forbidden from crossing over to help him. By the time the East German guards finally came to get him, it was far too late. His death, right there in the open, became this powerful, gut-wrenching symbol of just how brutal the wall truly was.
But you know, for every heartbreaking story like Peter Fechter's, there were also these incredible stories of triumph. That same desperation for freedom, it also sparked some unbelievable creativity. I mean, if you go to the Checkpoint Charlie Museum nearby, it's just filled with these wild contraptions people built to escape. We're talking cars with hidden compartments so small you can't believe a person fit inside, a mini submarine, even a homemade hot air balloon that carried 2 entire families to freedom. It's just amazing. So with all these stories, the tank standoffs, the tragic deaths, the incredible escapes, Checkpoint Charlie was really burned into the world's memory. So what happens when the Berlin Wall comes crashing down in 1989? Its whole reason for being just vanishes overnight. But the idea of Checkpoint Charlie, that was more powerful than ever. And its story was about to take a really, really strange turn.
And yeah, this really gets to the core of the problem with Checkpoint Charlie today. In the years after the wall fell, it became this massive tourist magnet, and a lot of people started to criticize it, saying it had turned into a kind of historical Disneyland. You know, a theme park that was trivializing a really painful history.
And to give you an idea of just how popular it became, look at this number. The private museum right next to the checkpoint pulled in 850,000 visitors in a single year. That is just staggering. It shows you that people from all over the world are fascinated by this place and they want to come see it, to touch a piece of that history. And when you put the then versus the now side by side, the difference is, well, it's pretty jarring. What was once one of the most tense military borders on Earth is now a place where you take selfies with actors dressed in fake uniforms. A symbol of oppression and tragedy is now surrounded by souvenir shops and fast food restaurants. It's a world away from what it once was. And here's something a lot of tourists actually don't realize. The little guardhouse you see standing there today, it's not the real one. The original American guardhouse was taken down in this big ceremony back in 1990. It's safe and sound in a museum now. The one you see at the intersection is a replica, put there to give people a sense of what it looked like.
But the story isn't over. After years and years of debate and a lot of criticism about how commercial the site has become, a new chapter is finally starting. The city of Berlin is stepping in, and they have a plan to reshape Checkpoint Charlie's future. The goal is to find a better balance, one that respects the history of the place while still serving the public.
And the vision for this new version of Checkpoint Charlie is pretty clear. The director of the foundation in charge put it perfectly. They want to transform it into a place that's about more than just a quick photo op. The goal is to create something with real historical depth, something that actually teaches you what happened here. So, what's the actual plan? Well, it's a project called Forum Checkpoint Charlie. And the big idea is to get rid of that tacky theme park feel and create a really dignified place of remembrance. They're going to replace the temporary stuff with a new permanent museum. And what's really cool is that it won't just be about Berlin. They want to show how this one little spot was connected to the entire global Cold War.
And that really brings us to the big, complicated question at the heart of all this, doesn't it? It's a question that's not just about Berlin, but about historical sites everywhere. When a place has seen so much pain, what do we do with it? How should we remember it? Do we turn it into a solemn lesson? Or is it okay for it to become an attraction? There's no easy answer. And the path Berlin chooses for Checkpoint Charlie, well, that's going to be its answer.